Welcome to Partially Plastic. Nobody you are about to hear or have just heard is licensed to provide medical advice, nor has anyone examined you for your individual conditions. Please seek the advice of a medical professional of your choice for your treatment. The opinions expressed on this program are personal to the person expressing them and not necessarily the opinions of the host or any sponsor, and are merely anecdotal stories of our individual experiences and not meant to be statements of fact.
Hello and welcome to Partially Plastic. I'm Kelly, your host, and I'm here with Andres Horado, and he is with My Medical Vacations. He's going to tell us about My Medical Vacations. A couple questions that I had for you, Andres, were what specific medical procedures or treatments do My Medical Vacations offer?
Thank you. First of all, thank you for the opportunity, Kelly. It's my pleasure to be in this interview with you. The most common procedures that we promote are the ones that are elective procedures. So in this category, you have mostly like cosmetic procedures, cosmetic dentistry procedures, and like weight loss procedures as well, like bariatric surgery. So the nature of elective is like the most common request that we get in Cancun.
And are the medical facilities and healthcare professionals associated with My Medical Vacations, doctors and surgeons performing the procedures?
We are a private company, and what we created is a private medical network. However, all of these are independent professionals. We choose to collaborate together because we know what it takes for a foreign patient to complete their journey, and not everything is done by doctors. So definitely they are part of our network, yes, and we have a very exclusive network to be able to offer the best options to our customers.
So for someone traveling, how do you recommend that they would verify their doctor's medical licenses?
In Mexico, there is transparency in that matter. There is only one website that can show you if they have a medical license, and then depending on the specialty, we provide the official website where they can find the license of specialty. So for example, if you're going to a cosmetic procedure, the right way of doing it is going to an actual certified plastic surgeon. And we offer like the websites where patients can verify by themselves that they are listed, they are active, and more importantly, they can also observe their track record online as well.
Where would the patients find that information on your website?
Well, in this case, we have certain links, but we know that it could be a bit overwhelming. So it's part of the package of information that we send them. We send them the links so they can help them on the research, but we give them exact names of the organizations that are officially represented, and they are part of they have the government stamp. So it's the way that we do things medically here in Mexico. So we put all of this information available. So besides whatever our previous customers have had as experience with these specific surgeons, they can also have their own research, which we really incentivize and really recommend patients to do.
What is the success rate for medical procedures offered by My Medical Vacations?
Well, the success rate, it can be measured different ways. For us, the most important is the safety of the patients. And we have a very, very, I don't want to say 100%, because every procedure, when you're handling volumes of patients and over the years, it's normal. It's part of the statistic to have certain complications that I believe that there's no doctor can avoid them, because there's a lot of moving parts. The patient themselves, they play a huge role, but it's how you react to those, how the doctors are, how they prepare to educate patients to not go into these situations, but also reacting to that and making sure that the patient is secure. And if something arises in terms of things that we don't desire, are minimal. And that's why we really pay a lot of attention in the preoperative stage. If the doctor doesn't think, or according to their experience, don't I think it's a good option for the patient to have this elective nature procedure. They will reject the case without hesitation because it's the well-being of the patient. So the success rate is very high in terms of satisfaction. The patients are very surprised of what's the level of personalized care that they get here with us. And in terms of the safety aspect, we really keep a very high positive record in that regard. We have welcomed, for example, we just completed a report. All of 2022, we did not have any complication that caused any delay for a patient to stay longer than necessary. And that's just saying that it didn't went even above that. So, and we receive over 180 patients from US, Canada, Europe, Australia, all over the world.
Since complications are kind of a routine thing and they're gonna arise, how do you guys respond to those?
Again, preparing is important, even making sure that the patient has the right time to do this. We cannot do a mommy makeover and send the patient home 3 days later because there are flights involved. So you need to understand, us as providers, we understand like how long they need to stay here to not only arrive home safely, but not allowing the travel process of traveling back, the process, to become an issue on the healing process of the patient. So if they have to stay longer, definitely we have that very clear, and patients they know this beforehand before they travel. So that's one way of dealing with it, which is prevention. And the second one is, of course, having doctors that have a good understanding of how to keep a good track record. In Mexico, if you have a surgery with us, you're gonna see your surgeon almost daily, on a daily basis after you're discharged. So when you have such a close follow-up to the case and not send home and then see you 15 days later, it's a long time, 15 days. Even if you're in your own hometown and you had your surgery in your city, it's very common. It's common here in Cancun, even with local patients. That's the way to go. You have your surgeries, I'll see you in 10 days. You have surgery, I'll see you in 12, 15 days. Anything bad, anything appears, just let me know. But we don't let that appear by having a very close supervision. And in between the doctor's appointments, you have a nurse that is with the patient every day, helping you clean incisions, reminding you your medication. This is how we manage a high success rate of no complications. If they appear, we have two options, which is one, we have always available an insurance for complications that they can get, and that will definitely give them peace of mind. Have we applied this policy? I don't remember in the past 3 years, including the pandemic, that we needed to apply this policy, and that's only a good thing for everybody. But also the doctors are committed. One thing is a complication and another thing is a correction to be made, which both of them, they can happen. It's part of these journeys. We have reduced them to the minimum, but these doctors are so committed to their work that if a correction needs to be made, they don't make a charge for that. And we have agreements with hospitals, which is what we work with. We don't work with ambulatory clinics, it's hospitals. So they also have, in that specific agreement with us, a capped rate in case the patient needs to go back to the OR a few months later or for a correction. So it's pretty convenient for patients, that agreement, actually.
So I'm hearing about offering insurance, and I think that's amazing. Because if you have a complication from plastic surgery here in the United States, a lot of times your health insurance doesn't cover it because it's an elective surgery. Can you tell me about the insurance that you offer?
Yes, it's not a common product. Actually, we work with only 2 companies that offer this type of product. One of them is based in the US, in North Carolina. They're an amazing company. And the other one is a brokerage company, part of Zurich, which is a huge insurance company. These are the 2 only insurance companies that offer a medical tourism policy that will cover complications. And for example, The average plastic surgery in Mexico, more or less, it's around $8,000. That's the cost of the surgery, roughly, and that's the average. And the average of what these policies cover for complications are between $20,000 to $30,000 of complications. So that can give you an idea that pretty much most of what like they're covered in a big way. And also the most important aspect is that we have an amazing relationship with these companies, but they really like the fact that we don't have to apply these policies. I mean, it's good to have them. It's good that they exist, but these doctors, they have a strict acceptance and a strict rigorous, how can I say this, rigorous selecting of patients based on their health and what they want. Maybe it's they want 3 or 4 things, and maybe they can only have 2 things done. So we are very transparent in that way, and that really reduces everything else that we're talking about,
So
the
who is
risks and all.
so who is a good candidate for medical tourism?
Well, in general, one of the biggest challenges we have is something that a lot of patients are gonna sound hear familiar, which is body mass index. The body mass index, it's not an invention of doctors, it's in medical literature, and the actual literature dictates that above 25, it starts getting riskier and riskier and riskier. And there are options out there. It's a free market, and unfortunately, patients in some cases don't measure that part, and they think it's easy, and they'll go to the doctor that takes that 35 BMI. I've heard some insane stories that tell me, well, my doctor charged $1,000 more if I'm above 35. I'm like, it has nothing to do with what they charge you. It's just too risky. That's unfortunately the harshest news we hear about cosmetic surgery and issues that happen with patients. It's because these bad selection of cases is unfortunately doctors that offer, they make an offer, patients seek or they find what they're seeking, which is sometimes the price. And yes, they're going to save a lot of money if they travel to Mexico, but one thing is to save money, and the other thing is to, at the end, not having in mind that it's a medical procedure. They're gonna go through an OR for several hours, and it can end if not managed correctly and not with the right care and safety regulations and protocols. It could be very negative, the results. So what we do is we basically focus on these exceptional professionals that have everything like lined up in terms of patients and the safety, and they keep up with the highest standards internationally. And with that in place, we have, and not moving from that, and not allowing money to move a doctor. No, sometimes finances can be harsh, and the reality is that it moves a lot of doctors, the finance aspect behind this. We have had the fortune of developing a medical network that is really professional, and they have very clear that a happy patient will bring more patients, and somebody that is not happy will definitely not. So they don't chance it, and it has to do a lot not only with the result, but how smooth the process was, what type of recovery they had, what type of experience overall. And if you add that with a good result, the patients keep coming back for more, and that's what we want to create for them, a safety environment.
So what do you do for physical security? Because everybody knows about these 2 women there were 4 people kidnapped, and the 2 were killed when they were in Mexico. I'm not sure what part of Mexico. What are you doing for physical safety?
Well, to be quite honest, Cancun, it's very far from the border, and there have been some tourist incidents. This is a tourism destination that receives almost 4.5 million passengers every year. So we have issues of a city that receives that amount of people. But when it comes to patients, it's a lower profile. We have always escorting them to every step, but not like like a bodyguard type of escortment. It's just our nurse and our concierge to help them navigate the city. But at the end, Cancun continues to be the #1 destination for families outside of the US. And this is something that we definitely have to keep in mind. And it's the airport is so well connected. We don't have to take any additional measures for physical safety other than a right companionship from our professional team.
Now, is everything included when you quote the price for your medical package, the massages, the IVs, the surgery, everything, or can patients expect to have to pay for additional things when they arrive?
I mean, it's very clear what we include in the package, but the only thing that we don't include is the airfare. They have to fly and get to Cancun. But once that, we our package, we flexible, we tailor made them. We have patients that have traveled 20 times to Cancun, so they're almost locals. They just don't speak the language and they need professional support. So we can give you like a full package, which is what most of patients get, an all-inclusive package that includes everything from transportation, lodging, medical fees, hospital fees, medication, compression garments, post-care, everything that they'll need. Some patients, they want to choose their own accommodations because Cancun is it's a destination that is so very popular. But when someone gets an all-inclusive package with us, it's just a flight, and we don't have a reputation of pulling up like hidden fees or anything. We really work hard to keep the prices like and to give accurate quotes before they travel. And once we send it, that's it. We don't put anything. They can purchase, let's say, if I include one garment, they can purchase a second set, but the one that they need, it's included in the price, and everything else is just optional. They can choose to do it or not.
When somebody is planning to come have surgery and doing medical tourism, how long should they plan to be out of town for?
A minimum, in average, is around 2 weeks. It's something that they have to really, maybe it's 10 days, maybe it's 12 days, but in order to play it safe, to come back home and not having any more difficulties from the traveling, if you contemplate those 2 weeks, if you give your body those 2 weeks to heal, it will thank you. Your body will thank you, and it will be actually like the thing it can be how can I say this, part of your result, your lifelong result.
Is my medical vacations able to assist their patients with getting visas?
Well, we don't have a department for that. American and Canadian patients do not need a special visa to travel to Cancun. But when a patient from a country that requires a visa needs it, we definitely support them. We provide them with all of the documentation that they will need, but also it's with their own, how can I say this, migration offices. Some different countries ask for different things. Like I said, the US, Canada, the Commonwealth in general, nations, all of them are not required to get a visa to get into Cancun or Mexico, sorry.
So I'm going to edit that out of there. Is there a refund or cancellation policy in case of unforeseen circumstances?
Yes, it's pretty flexible. If you cancel, you have we do have it. You have up to 30 days to cancel your surgery for anything that pops up. We are super flexible with rescheduling. There's no how can I say this, fees for canceling or rescheduling. Especially with the pandemic, we became hyper flexible. Patients they wanted it to come, but sometimes the regulations or flights so we learned how to do it, and we say if we learn how to do it and we could do it, why not keep it that way? So we are right now offering like a very flexible policy for cancellation and for rescheduling. Yes.
That's awesome. How has the meningitis outbreak in Matamoros affected Tijuana?
Well, in Tijuana, we don't have much more activity. That's on the west side of the country. And we know it was not it was news that is not helpful. But unfortunately for us, on this side of Mexico, on our end in Cancun, we only work with ORs that are, for example, they are hospitals where we have this agreement where these ORs are only used for scheduled and elective procedures. So every patient that goes through that process, they have a how can I say this, an assessment and a screening process behind it. So yes.
What do you think could have been done in Matamoros to prevent the meningitis outbreak?
Well, I'm not a medical authority, so I definitely don't want to get into a realm that I'm not fully understand. I have this idea, of course, that it's a meticulous process that we see here in hospitals of sanitization, exhaustive cleansing of ORs, and all of that. So I wish I could tell you more, but I honestly, it's far from here. It was an outbreak that was unfortunate for everybody that had that situation. But I really don't have a lot of comments to give more light to that, unfortunately. Sorry for that.
It's okay. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate your time and telling everybody about my medical vacations.
No, thank you, Kelly. It was my absolute pleasure to be here, and we remind that we're available if you guys need further information. Cancun is a hot spot right now for medical tourism. It's combining what we learned to do a long time ago, which is welcome people in a friendly way. So we're ready for you guys.
And as always in the comments, my medical vacations, the way to get in touch with them will be linked in there also.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.